Hi everyone, this is our placemaking project named I Can Still Hear a Ringtail Possum. As the project's main inspiration came from Maribyrnong's Aboriginal term, I can hear a ringtail possum.
Maribyrnong's industrial past and dense urban fabric have created an environment that all but destroyed the biodiversity of the area that was in place pre-settlement. Although Maribyrnong City Council has been active in the promotion of biodiversity in its planning through the open space strategy and more targeted programs such as the Stony Creek Future Directions Plan, strategic contexts have failed to appropriately blend a values-based approach that fosters inclusion, equity and cultural representation. The aim is to establish and maintain a form of ecological stewardship where care, knowledge and agency are fostered for those traditionally underrepresented. Nature is an avenue for engagement and inclusion. Traditionally, marginalised groups are often either excluded or underrepresented, resulting in limited connectedness and/or agency to public space. By developing a strengthened, co-created sense of place through connections and relationships with local nature, the possibility for broader environmental focuses may unfold, scaling up a sense of place that may influence pro-environmental behaviour more broadly. The current default settings of Anthropocene has also seen non-human entity users of space sidelined, even removed from habitat settings where humans dominate. We must resituate the human in ecological terms and resituate wildlife and fauna in ethical terms, essentially seeking to restore a biophilic balance to our cities using inclusion and equity as a tool. Based on the contextual analysis of the previous slides, three main issues have become visible requiring attention: habitat and biodiversity, inclusion and equity, and cultural representation. These issues not only require attention, but also in working together will provide a catalyst to establish positive change within the municipality around biodiversity, which has historically been sidelined within the urban context of Maribyrnong.
With the above research and considerations, we have come to our proposed strategy. Our proposal is to adopt ringtail possum as a collective mascot of Maribyrnong to introduce biodiverse urban infrastructures and catalyze an inclusive bond within the community. As an important part of the ecosystem, ringtail possum serves as a protector of gum trees by eating its parasites, while seeking habitable spaces in the tree trunk. By looking at population data from ALA, the current population of ringtail possum within Maribyrnong and its surrounding suburbs are at stake, with a striking contrast between the western suburbs and the east, and the density of ringtail possums are significantly lower than other species in the area. This state of absurdity is mainly due to lack of natural habitats such as gum trees, and the current perspective of the resident considering ringtail possum as a household pest. If we search ringtail possum Footscray on Google, most of the topics are about ringtail possum removal. It is almost heartbroken to see that ringtail possum, being the species that is present in the name of the country, is actually on the brink of demise.
Relative stakeholder groups will be engaged into all stages to create long-term benefits. They include Maribyrnong City Council, expert and organizations such as ISPCA and Greening the West, indigenous groups, culturally and linguistically diverse communities, local community groups, and other non-human stakeholders. However, the project is centered around the community-led strategy, especially indigenous groups and multicultural groups who are low in resources. It aims to empower community members, create a virtuous cycle and mutual stewardship between people and nature. Also, the design will be implemented yearly in different areas in the city of Maribyrnong, and the local conditions varies from site to site, which require more community engagement to ensure coherent outcomes. Online questionnaires and interactive maps will be the major tools to communicate with broader communities and collect data for evaluation in both pre-development and post-development stages. In pre-development stages, indigenous groups will contribute to design inspirations through paintings that tell the stories and culture of the land. Online surveys can help to gain an understanding of the community's needs and attitudes towards the project. Consultations with experts and designers will be arranged to deliver a suitable habitat for possums and translate indigenous paintings into buildable structures. The role of City Council will mainly be providing sites and facilitating the interventions. After the project is finished, Community members will be responsible for long-term maintenance and operation of natural habitat, ensuring a continuous engagement and stewardship to the ecosystem. Necessary workshops and assistance will be supported by professionals. There will also be post-intervention surveys for community members to evaluate the outcome and continuously modify the project.
Utilising the indigenous meaning behind the word Maribyrnong, this project will seek to better enmesh the cultural indigenous heritage of the area with that of which is important to indigenous populations, being country, nature and biodiversity. The project not only seeks to reverse biodiverse injustices, but also relay a story of place to the city of Maribyrnong. The strategic placemaking proposal seeks to identify places or sites of opportunity that allow for the ringtail possum to again be heard in places within Maribyrnong where today it is presently not. It is attempting to rectify ecological and cultural wrongs enacted over the period of colonisation through a community-led based initiative of inclusion and equity.
The master planning of our proposal is about linking the dots. We will appoint a series of primary sites along the riverside to introduce biodiverse infrastructure to the community, and then linking them to the community-chosen secondary site in the inner suburb. By doing this, our aim is to reintroduce ringtail possum and its related nature species back to the city of Maribyrnong. We have chosen Harbour Park as our sample site to showcase the micro-scale intervention of our proposal. As shown in the map, our primary site will be Harbour Park along the river, and our secondary site will be Maribyrnong Family Park in the inner suburb, connected by an increased plantation network along the streets. Within the site, there are three main interventions. Our first one is called Community Terrarium, located at primary sites. The structure is mainly constructed with 3D printed terracotta, a strong, lightweight, and soil-like material capable of habilitating plants and animals. It is also easy to construct it by the general public once the frame is settled. We have introduced community members as co-designer of the structure by asking the community to produce a collective mural and embedded it into the Aboriginal architecture typology-inspired cave to serve as a storytelling device. The second intervention is the possum house, and habitable structure can be placed on any tree trunk or post, providing habitable spaces for possum so they won't seek alternative habitats such as domestic housing roof cavities. The third intervention is the highlighted mascots, a series of digital and artistic installations that evoke reflections upon biodiversity within the suburb. The image shown here is a 3D printed possum that serves as an atmospheric light at night. Digital surveys will be incorporated into the design outcomes to help inform local research and deepen community engagement. By scanning QR codes on the question boards, communities will be answering questions related to their attitudes on indigenous stories, natural habitats, and multicultural groups. Survey questions not only allow practitioners to collect data from stakeholders, but also help community groups to realize the benefits of reintroducing natural habitats into urban contexts. Interactive maps will also be major tools to engage with community groups. They will be welcome to drop pins and make comments on suggested sites that are underused or suitable for natural habitat for possums. The proposed sites will be evaluated and connected to form a green network.
It is expected the time frame for the pre to post development period would be approximately 2 years. It is suggested the project begin at a small scale whilst allowing for the possibility to upscale through an evaluation process as interest in the project and the population of ringtail possums grow. It is expected funding would be split between tiers of government and consist of potential ecological grants such as the Ecological Restoration Fund, with initial costs at approximately $20,000. A maintenance program that focuses on how parts of the space are used over time is imperative. This needs to take into consideration not only human but also non-human entities. Monitoring and evaluating the site's use will also be part of the long-term maintenance program. It is expected it would be conducted by stakeholders ranging from community members right through to ecological experts. Through the implementation of the project, the benefits will not only be visually present through the development of ecological habitats for the ringtail possums, but also include less tangible socio-cultural and socio-economic benefits. The table below represents both tangible and intangible benefits of the project. The evaluation framework sets out the core values of the project, funneling down into place-specific elements that highlight the measurable indicators to evaluate the interventions and also the relevant tools required to do so. The evaluation tools identified are both qualitative and quantitative and are responsive to the success of the project. A successful implementation and ongoing evaluation will mean the return of the ringtail possum to the City of Maribyrnong and socio-cultural inclusion within the municipality. The goal of I Can Still Hear a Ringtail Possum fundamentally is one of place attachment, not only for the human experience but also that of the non-human. The intervention presents as a beacon to the possibility of potential legacies of coexistence within the city.